Overcoming Racial Hatred and Injustice, a young woman's tale of how she became president of the U.S. and the dangers that she initially faced. The beginning. In the very capital of Montgomery, Alabama, in the same area that Martin Luther King Jr. based his fight for racial justice around, a small town girl by the name of Shaniqua Washington grew up. She lived in an area still recovering from the results of white and male supremacists being prevalent, and where violence and federal assassinations were frequent, especially towards women wanting to rise to power. As a result, many African parents advised their children not to go into politics, as did Caucasian and other parents of daughters. Shaniqua's parents, especially her mother, warned Shaniqua about this very subject. However, Shaniqua had a dream that no one, not her mother or father, brother or sister, classmates nor teachers, could impede. Her dream to someday become President of the United States. Her mother, Ruth, was shocked the first time she heard it in that afternoon in her sunny little cottage on a hill. Words could not describe the pain and emotions that she, along with her husband Daniel, felt after their daughter gave them a 15-minute speech on her reasons for running for office at an older age. Shaniqua was met with high levels of, well, verbal chastisement from her father, and her mother was only a little calmer. She took the then 8-year-old into her room and had a very emotional 30-minute talk with her on reasons why she shouldn't want to run for office. When Shaniqua persisted, she was met with even more persecution, as she would later call it. Her parents initially thought that it was only a one-time thing, and that, like most children, the phase would pass quickly. However, it wasn't just a dream for the fourth grader. Unlike other students, it was an unusual and uncommon passion. Shaniqua chose to ignore the discouragement she felt and press onward. At school, Shaniqua was a teacher favorite in all of her classes, including the males. This went on until the day that all her classmates had to stand up and tell each other what they wanted to be when they grew up. Shaniqua brought her speech along with her to Mr. Davis' class. To him, she was a bright, friendly, and cheerful student, with no faults. However, on the day she read her speech to the class, his view of her changed. The then 11-year-old seventh grader was respected by her classmates, though Mr. Davis forced her out of his class for the rest of the period. He became very angry with her for bringing such unwanted and unnecessary views to the classroom, stating that "Negro girls like you will never have shot at such a luxury." When her parents heard about Shaniqua's speech, they became exasperated quickly. All Shaniqua's siblings watched as she was physically and verbally abused by her father, who feared that he would never be allowed into society again. Shaniqua was confused. How could her parents, who were supposed to love her until death, be so pessimistic and discouraging? Putting her thoughts of the abandonment that her entire family had shown her to the side, she decided to press on. The middle. Fast forward 5 years. At age 16 in high school, Shaniqua fully understood the daunting task that she would face. That year, she was shunned by all her classmates for her openly known desire to become president. "She's absurd and deranged," they whispered. Her teachers were just as defeatist. "She has a snowball's chance in hell if she thinks she can really accomplish such a feat," they all agreed. Shaniqua heard such things. She knew that everyone around her was against her, but like a donkey resisting its owner's pull, she stubbornly refused to listen to what the world said about her. "If no one on earth, in heaven, or even in hell is going to encourage me," she thought to herself, "then I'll encourage myself." She majestically kept her face up in such an onslaught. Her peers noticed such things, and while many began to support her, or at least become indifferent towards her, many others attempted to bring her down, both verbally and physically, especially her teachers. Those that were for her showed their encouragement in secret, in fear of the consequences. As for her parents, they were beginning to receive the other, much more negative side of things. Many times mobs came to their homes and threw stones through, or even shot at, their windows. Graffiti and vandalism were frequent as well. The entire time, their daughter was unfazed and undisturbed, qualities that greatly disturbed and annoyed her peers. Despite all of these dizzying and unfavorable factors, Shaniqua eventually found herself choosing between numerous colleges, including every single Ivy League university in America. She wound up taking classes focusing in political science, business marketing, and government at Harvard University. There she was demoralized and ostracized by all her peers, who balked at the thought of having her run for president of their country. However, she excelled in every class she took, ignoring all the pessimism around her. The end. At 21 years old, Shaniqua started really pursuing her dream. She was barely able to start a political campaign with her newly married husband, Xavier. She immediately caught national attention, but not all of it was positive. Thousands, maybe even millions, opposed Shaniqua. However, there were a great number of others that supported her, even if they weren't in their hometown. Those certain people were astounded by at the bravery of this previously unknown woman, despite the raging onslaught going against her. Never had there been such an uprising against a presidential candidate. Angry riots often broke out. Many of her own kin and village were going against her. Once, as she was giving a speech, she looked around and saw over 1,000 of those going against her. Among them was her elderly sixth-grade reading teacher, Mr. Davis. She made eye contact with him, and initially he stared at her with intense hatred. Still, Shaniqua looked straight at him for the majority of the rest of her speech. He seemed to soften only a bit, but then he started looking bewildered and afraid. At the end, he politely clapped for her. That's when she knew that the many against her were not going to defeat her. As a candidate, she focused on the emotions and feelings of her country, resorting to talk times on television like former presidents. However, she also made it known that talk was cheap, and so she strove to put in effect the promises that she made even only as a candidate. During her campaign, none of her opponents and candidates were able to stand against her. The mob that was against her slowly but steadily trickled down to only a few. In the end, she won by a landslide. After her election, she went back to her hometown and made a speech there, addressed specifically towards the people that hurt her in life, discouraging her in every way. She forgave them, saying, "All that you did was for a purpose, to show me the difficulties that I would face. Help me learn persistence. And just as the late Reverend Martin Luther King Jr. met violence with peace and overcame, I chose to do the same. I shouldn't have to forgive you for helping me in life, for helping me to accomplish a dream. Rather, I should thank you." At the end of her speech, she was met with outstanding applause. As she scanned the crowd, she saw her parents. Her father's jaw had hit the floor, her mother was already sprinting towards her, arms outstretched and tears like the Nile streaming down her face. The young president immediately understood their emotions and guilt, and she was overcome with the same emotions. Shaniqua was often compared to great presidents and their wives of the past. Like Jacqueline Kennedy, she was often praised for her choice of clothing, and many revered her taste of fashion, which she dedicated to her heritage. Her presidential presence made even her enemies to be at peace with her, and by focusing on what the American people wanted, by being selfless, she brought about a much-needed period of peace and tranquility, making America truly united. She proved to millions, maybe even billions, that women can do whatever men can do.